Hey y'all, my name's Hunter, and this is Buddy. This is actually Buddy 2. Buddy 1 came from a garage sale. I've nursed it back to health. Buddy 2 came from eBay, and it's a Singer portable turntable. And I use it for 45s mostly. It's compact, it's loud. It makes 45s sound good too. It's got really good battery life. I love these things. They're just the right size. And I've taken it everywhere. I keep it in my car. I take it on road trips. I've explained it to German airport security before. Lots of airport security. They don't understand these things. But they're really convenient when you're looking through a ton of 45s and you want to sample them as you go. Especially sometimes people will be charging $5 a pop, and you gotta be a little choosy. So these really come in handy. And I have a few others too. I think they're really nifty. I've built a little small collection. For instance, here's a penny. It's a slot loader. It's really fun. This is a Porta-Play that I need to fix. So the reason I'm talking about these is I've seen people, post things on the internet saying, "Look at this cool portable turntable I found at a garage sale. What do you guys think?" And they'll be inundated with comments like, "Don't let that near my records," or "2 spins and the records will be destroyed." And I don't think that's accurate. I think that's an exaggeration. And so I thought, well, let's find out. So I searched all the relevant scientific journals about this, and I found nothing. So I'm gonna put it to the test myself. So to prepare for this, I got a Crosley cruiser. Y'all love the Crosleys, I know. Let's take one of these guys down. I got the One Direction edition because it was $5 cheaper and way dreamier. So here's what we're gonna do. So I walked into Euclid Records here in New Orleans, told them about my science experiment, and I asked for 2 of the cheapest records they could give me that are still sealed. And they presented me with Jay-Z, Renegade featuring Eminem. The other side is Jigga, but it doesn't have Eminem on it, so I think we'll go with that side. And they're not sealed. I did ask for sealed, but they assured me they're unplayed. I believe them. They're 12-inch singles. So the plan is that each is going to be played at first on my Technics 1200. I treated myself to a Grotto Green turntable cartridge. So they each get played on that, on brand new stylus, and from there they split. So one continues on the Technics 1200, the other on your boy, the One Direction Crosley Cruiser. And I'm gonna make a note of which is which. So the pink is gonna be the Crosley, and the blue is gonna be the Technics 1200. And so I'm going to keep playing them on their specific turntables until about the 5th spin, and then they're going to be back on the Technics 1200 so I can compare. And that's plugged into my computer. I can take a look at, I can record them both in Audacity, and we'll see if one has degraded further than the other, and then we're going to go back to it. So this guy's going to go back to the Crosley, this guy's going to stay on the Technics 1200. They're each going to get another 5 spins, so in the 10th spin we'll compare again, etc., etc. Alright, we're going to attempt to do this with one hand. We're recording.
Hold on.
Alright, time for round 2. Alright, now it's time for the One Direction spin. First time. Actually, I was just taking a look at this thing because I didn't look into it at all before I got it. In fact, I haven't taken that off just yet. The little tie. But it's actually for $55. You got a headphone port and got a built-in 45 adapter. And what really surprised me, it's got an aux out right there. I don't know. Is that an aux in? Yeah, aux in. Alright, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of impressed. Alright. And since this is the second spin, I'm going to mark it with another one of these. And set at 33. It actually has an auto stop as well, but I'm not even going to let it get that far. And alright, time for round 5 of the Technics 1200 record. This is the one that was on the Crosley the whole time. So, this is spin 5 on the Crosley. This is where things might get interesting. So far, the Crosley version sounds okay to me. If this is just talking about what I heard with my ears, I haven't really done any actual comparison, waveform style. But so far, it sounds fine if you after 5 spins on here. So we're gonna keep going. Here's number 6. And here's the spin 10 for the Crosley. At this point, I'm really hoping that it's gonna be significantly worse because I don't want to listen to this song anymore. I want to go to bed. Alright, just finished spin 10. Personally, I didn't notice anything with my ears. Putting this away for the night, going to bed. Well, I was about to go to bed and then I noticed this one thing. The top file is spin number 10 and the bottom file is spin number 5. They look mostly the same until you look at the, I think it's the left channel on the bottom. If you notice on the top one, again, this is spin number 10. There's a lot of these big lines right here. There's where it popped. I noticed that it was popping a lot, but I figured, I didn't know whether it happened the first time or not. You don't see those along the bottom. So that may be something, and we'll see if they worsen as we keep going. Okay, just to make things a little more manageable here, I'm going to mark this as 10 and take the rest of them off. Alright, this is spin 15. It's a new day. I am so sick of hearing Eminem. Spin 15 on the Crosley record. So this is a look at the Crosley record after the 15th spin, and still the left channel looks mostly fine. I think I noticed a little bit of loss of sibilance. It sounded a little flatter. But the biggest thing, just like last time, is these pops are even more frequent. This is the 10th spin. This is the 15th. So they're louder. They're more frequent. And it's interesting that it's just in the right channel, but yeah, there you go. Alright, so as we get ready for spin number 16, I want to point a few things out. First of all, somebody asked me if there were any visual differences between the two, now that I can notice some audio differences. I didn't see any. I put it under a bright light, put the two right next to each other. I couldn't visually notice any difference, so I don't think you can identify a Crosley record on sight. Also, I identified this as spin number 16. That's not entirely accurate. If you remember that, spins 1, 5, 10, and 15 were all on the Technics 1200. So this is actually what the 12th spin, I think, total. I can go back and check that later. But yeah, so this has only been on the Crosley 12 times, so the amount of degradation is actually a little more than the number 16 would suggest. However, I'm also curious, now that we're noticing these clicks, whether you notice it on the Crosley itself. I think it actually sounds fine on the Crosley. By the way, this is as loud as it gets. These things really aren't all that loud. So even though it sounds bad on a good turntable, it still sounds as blah as ever on the Crosley. Okay, pink spin number 20. Let's see how this goes. More clicking. Okay, here's spin 20 on the Crosley one versus spin 15. I honestly don't see a huge difference here. There's and spin 15's on the bottom, spin 20's on the top. I don't think the pops are really any more frequent, and I didn't really notice any real audio degradation. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it a little bit, so the next time I'm going to compare is going to be at spin 30 on both. Well, this project has taken a most unfortunate turn. The top, and I repeat myself, the top is spin 30, bottom is spin 20. It seems to have smoothed out all those little clicks along here, and honestly, it sounds decent. We're 30 spins in. I want this to be over. I want to hear a terrible track, but there's a little bit of loss of sibilance, but I think a lot of people wouldn't even notice. You have to be really paying attention. So, on to 40. Alright, time for spin 40 for the Crosley record. Please, 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 let this be terrible. Okay, so here we are. Spin 40 is this one right here. Spin 30 is up here. As you can see, we've got the pops again. We got a case of the pops going on all around the bottom on the right channel. I'm not paying too much attention to that. I did think it sounded a little, like the bass didn't sound quite as smooth. I think there was a little bit more sibilance, but still, you know, to the point where I was still doubting myself thinking that. So, even at spin 40, it doesn't sound all that bad. And just in case you're wondering, you know, here's this is spin 40 on top. This is spin 1 on the bottom. Aside from the clicks that are pretty obvious, I don't see anything too glaring. Alright, here we go. This is number 50 on the Crosley record. Although, let's be clear, it's actually, I think, number 42 that was actually played on the Crosley. The rest were played on this turntable. So, here we go. And I'm so happy to be done with this. Okay, so this is spin 50, taking a look at it compared to spin 40 above and spin 1 below. Spin 1, you know, it's pretty, I think the difference is pretty obvious with these big clicks. Interestingly enough, the clicks, first of all, the spin 50 is the first one where there are clicks in both channels. The clicks all go upwards. To be honest, I don't really know if that means anything or what it means. Feel free to let me know in the comments. There's definitely more of them and more pronounced than there were in spin 40. You know, all of this waveform analysis is very armchair, but we'll take a closer look soon. Okay, a little bit more armchair waveform analysis here. There's spin 50 on the top and spin 1 on the bottom, both from the Crosley. You know, spin 1 hasn't even been played on the Crosley yet, so it's pretty pristine. So I lined them up as best I could. I think it sounds pretty good when you play the whole thing. I did amplify them by the same amount just to so that I can you know, so that we can see the waveform a little bit better. So this is what it sounds like. No, he's not around. Now how that sound till you jot it. So, one of the things that I really wanted to get in there was the cymbal, because that seemed to be one part that was really degrading in my ear. And so I lined them up in Photoshop as best that I could. Right now they're on top of each other, one with 50% opacity. And so if I turn one of them to difference, so this is the difference in between the two. All the blue parts are the same, and then the yellow is the difference between the two. I don't even know if if what I'm doing means anything, but I think it's pretty slight. I don't know. I mean, it sounds fine to me, as I've said before, but that's something to take note of. And I'm going to save this image and put it somewhere. So 50 spins, 42 spins on the Crosley, and, well, first of all, I feel free as a bird. I don't have to listen to this song anymore. But most importantly, I didn't really hear anything significant enough to say that it, killed the record. To be honest, the results were a little more shocking than I expected. I expected significant degradation around maybe spin 30 or so, and that still would have been enough to prove my point, I think. I can't think of many records that I've listened to more than 10 times, let alone 30, and definitely not 50. So, there are probably issues with the science of this, and if you want to do a double-blind test, I have some files that you can take a look at and do that on your own, and there's probably all sorts of things that I might have done wrong. Please leave comments. I really would like to know them. But, at 50 spins, I think it's pretty hard to deny the results. So, does that mean that Crosleys are alright? You can just go out and buy a Crosley? That was never the point of this. No. First of all, these speakers sound terrible. And the samples that I played were on the Technics 1200 that I used for reference, but every time you spin on this thing, it's gonna sound awful. It may not destroy your records as much as people say, but it'll have that same effect every time you're listening on this thing. And, you don't have to get into records because of the sound quality, but you're taking something that could be about that, and you're putting it on the bottom of the rung. You might as well listen to the lowest quality MP3s or AM radio. I don't see why you would choose this if you're just getting into records. So a long time ago, I tried to fix another Crosley model, and I felt like the whole thing was kind of held together with, thoughtful hopes and wishes more than anything. It seems like it's maybe slightly better at this point. I don't see as many terrible solder joints as before. I don't pretend to know the difference between all these components, so I'm not going to go into that. I will say, if you pay $55, that means they're probably going for the cheapest components. That's how it's so cheap. So, don't expect this thing to last forever. What they are still using a whole lot of is hot glue. I don't mind that so much on the MDF all over this, but they do have it over here, it seems to be holding the line out in there? No, that's the power. So yeah, they have hot glue on the power jack, and really all of this stuff over here. It's just kind of, I don't put these things together, but it seems kind of janky to me. I also did notice, I didn't put this to the test, but I kind of noticed as I was doing this, there's just a little bead of solder hanging out in there. I kind of noticed as I was doing this that I think it was turning at the wrong speed. It was a little bit fast, one turntable would finish before the other one. So, obviously, you're not paying for quality here, but hopefully you know that. So yeah, don't get a Crosley, but, if Christmas rolls around and Grandma shows up and says, "Hey, look what I got you," don't be like, "Gee, thanks, Grandma." You should say, "Thank you. This is a really thoughtful gift. You're a cool grandma, and I love you. Merry Christmas." Because it's fine. This should not be your main turntable, but it'll work. It won't kill your records. The real reason that I did this, let's forget all the Crosley. Mostly, I just wanted people to chill. I think people are coming up with these notions of how to do record collecting, and apparently sometimes it's not really based on anything. It's just based on what people have been saying to each other, and it reverberates. Like a bad stylus will damage your records, especially a broken stylus. But that turns into like a Crosley will destroy your record in one spin. I've seen people say that, and let's just calm down. For me, what record collecting is really about It has nothing to do with which turntable. I mean, I love these little portable things and I collect them. It's so much fun. But what it's really about is, finding a record that I've never heard of that just, changes everything to me. It's going out there and finding it. It's the stuff on the record. That's what matters, not being an expert in this stuff and telling people how to do it. Let's all just chill. I'm sure y'all have comments. Please, feel free to leave them. I would love it if somebody made a counter argument if you think that I'm wrong about something. I definitely think there's a possibility of that. And of course, I want to throw out there, Record Rain is a almost quarterly record show here in New Orleans. We've been doing it since 2010. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm kind of biased. But I'd love it if y'all came down and checked it out. We have a mailing list that you can get on to find out more. And stay tuned for next time when I test whether calling records vinyls will degrade them. Thanks!